They say you truly know someone when everything falls apart. I never thought I'd be the one lying broken while the man I loved walked away. My name's Elena, and I'm 38 years old. I used to be an athlete, strong, determined, full of life, running at sunrise, hiking mountains, swimming until the world fell quiet. That was my peace, my pride. My husband, Tyler, was a professional basketball player. Everyone knew his name. He was powerful, talented, the kind of man cameras followed, and I was the woman behind him, steady, loyal, invisible in the spotlight, but always there. We had a good life. Busy, yes, demanding, always, but it was full of dreams. One of those dreams was a child. We had talked about it often. Long walks after games, quiet mornings in hotel rooms. He would say, "Can you imagine? A little one with your eyes and my height?" I used to laugh and nod. We both wanted it, badly, but we kept saying, "Let's wait. Let's give it another year. One more season. A little more time." Time we thought we had. There was one morning I remember clearly. It was one of those rare weekends where neither of us had anywhere to be. No games, no press, no training, no airports. Just the two of us. Home. The morning sunlight spilled through the wide windows of our apartment, painting golden stripes across the wooden floor. The smell of fresh coffee mingled with the soft scent of oranges I had sliced earlier. I was barefoot in his oversized hoodie, sitting cross-legged on the kitchen counter, laughing about something stupid he'd said. Tyler stood in front of me, still sleepy, with a mug in his hand and that crooked boyish smile that only appeared when he was completely at ease. He reached for the orange slice in my hand and bit it in half without asking, something I normally would have rolled my eyes at, but that morning it made me laugh harder. "We're like two kids," I said, brushing a curl from my face. "No," he replied, wrapping his arms around my waist. "We're like two people who finally got it right." We lay on the rug with his head on my stomach, and we made up names for the kids we thought we'd have someday. If it's a girl, she'll have your stubbornness. If it's a boy, he'll have your eyebrows. Poor kid. We dreamed out loud. A little house by the ocean, noisy family dinners, a dog with a ridiculous name, a fridge covered in crayon drawings. That night, I caught him watching me as I read on the couch. He leaned over, kissed my shoulder, and whispered, "This is everything I ever wanted." And for a moment, there were no injuries, no betrayals, no fears of what was to come. Just us. Two people, in love, in sync, unaware of how fragile even the strongest happiness can be. And then came winter. We went skiing in Colorado, a short break between games and travel. Snow sparkled on the slopes. The air was crisp and clean. And in one instant, everything changed. One slip, one fall, one sound, sharp and final. I remember looking at the sky from the ground and trying to move, but my legs didn't respond. The hospital gave me cautious hope. Spinal shock. You may recover. But after a botched massage and nerve trauma, the truth became crueler. You might never walk again. At first, Tyler was quiet, then distant, then gone. One evening, without warning, he looked at me and said, "I didn't sign up for this." He had met someone else, someone easier, someone still whole. And just like that, he left. No apology, no tears. He packed a bag and walked out of my life, leaving me in a wheelchair and in pieces. I didn't just lose my mobility. I lost my partner, my dreams, my chance, or so I thought, to become a mother. And that regret was the worst pain of all. I had waited. We had waited. And now I was alone, broken and childless, in a body that didn't feel like mine. So I made a decision. I left the city. Its sterile hospital walls, its empty apartment, its ghost of what used to be, and returned to my homeland, a small coastal village in southern Italy, where cliffs fall into the sea and lemon trees bloom even in sorrow. I went back to my grandmother's cottage. Its paint was peeling, the shutters hung crooked, the olive tree leaned like an old man who remembered better days. But it was still standing. Like me. The moment I stepped inside, the air hugged me, not cold and clinical, but warm and alive. The floorboards still creaked, the windows still opened to the same view. The wide, open sea. It smelled of rosemary and home. That night, I cried for everything I had lost. And then I slept, a deep, aching sleep. The weeks that followed were quiet. Recovery came slow. Each morning I moved a little. Each night I whispered the names of children I never got to hold. But one day, my toe moved, then my foot, then slowly, my legs held weight. I walked again. Not all at once, not without pain, but step by step, I found myself. Now I run a space for women like me, those healing from what can't be seen. I paint, I teach, I walk the cliffs every morning and listen to the wind sing through the lemon trees. Sometimes I see mothers with children and feel a sharp ache. But I remind myself, I gave life to myself, and I'm still giving. And one morning, as I poured coffee into a chipped ceramic cup, there was a knock at the door. I opened it and smiled. But that is another story. Life in the village unfolded slowly, like a forgotten song I once knew the words to. The mornings began with the bells from the chapel on the hill, soft, distant chimes that seemed to remind the world to breathe. I would sit by the window with a blanket draped over my shoulders, watching fishermen cast their nets into the quiet blue. Neighbors brought fresh bread, figs from their gardens, and cautious smiles. They didn't ask about the wheelchair or the shadows under my eyes. In this place, pain was not something to pry into. It was something understood. I began swimming again. At first, just letting the sea hold me. I would float, weightless, letting the salt sting my skin and the sun kiss my face. The water didn't judge me. It carried me when I couldn't carry myself. In the afternoons, I painted. At first, it was just colors on canvas. No shapes, no stories, just emotions spilled through a brush. But soon, images formed. A girl running through lemon trees, a boy flying a kite on the cliffs, a woman standing at the edge of the sea with her arms wide open. I hung the paintings in my grandmother's cottage, then in the local cafe. Then people began to ask for them. One woman, Francesca, a nurse who had lost her husband in a motorcycle crash, asked me if I could teach her to paint. She brought a friend, then another. Soon my small living room was filled with laughter, tears, tea, and art. We didn't talk much about what had broken us, but we knew, and that was enough. I started hosting small retreats. Women came from nearby towns, then other regions, some limping from surgeries, others with invisible wounds etched deep in their chests. We shared meals under grapevine-covered terraces, practiced yoga on the cliffs, wrote letters to people who had hurt us, and then burned them in a fire pit by the sea. We danced barefoot. We cried without shame. We healed. And still,